Hey everybody, it's Alan from Woodcrest Bonsai, and today I'm going to work on these two very overgrown Premna. And these guys are both suffering basically from benign neglect. They're nice trees, in my opinion. If we look at this one, more up like that, it's got, and for some reason it has some wire. I have no idea what the wire is even doing anymore. But it's got nice movement. It's got decent branching. Has an apex. I'm not sure whether it's even alive, but it has, some growth. So it's perfectly healthy because look at all the shoots coming off. It's got all kind of new leaves. Just needs a massive cutback. I'm going to give it a root pruning and a repotting. And I think I'm going to give it a little bit bigger pot. And it will just respond with new growth. And with a little more conscientious care, it could be a very cool tree in a couple of months. No problem. The other guy is basically the same way, same thing. This is one where it's like almost living in midair. But it is living. And even though this thing is even leggier and nastier, if we look, there's growth. Brand new growth even at every single tip. There's new growth at every single tip, even though they're way, way, way leggy. And so what that means, now here's some that might be dead, and there's a little bit in here that might be dead. But what that means is virtually the structure of the tree, every branch is still perfectly alive. It just, once again, needs to be cut way back. And obviously this guy here is, and look at the new roots. So it's still wanting to live. It's got no soil. It's almost like the sea hibiscus that I showed you the other day that did die because there was no soil left. I'm going to give this guy a little bit bigger pot too, and I'm thinking once this pot is empty, of putting it in this blue pot. This may be a little too big, and of course if you watch my channel, you know that when I choose a pot I always like to eyeball 3 or 4 different pots and then just use the one that strikes me. So where should we start? I think because the large blue pot is potentially a new pot for that poor guy there, I'm going to do this tree first. So here we are. And do I leave that wire on? I don't even know why the wire is on. I suppose at some point I wanted to bring it up more like that, but for now we can unwire. And when I'm unwiring, I try to keep my fingers on the bark where I'm pulling the wire away so it doesn't slide and slip and cause damage, because I'm so cheap I don't want to buy wire. But you can damage the trunk unraveling wire as easily as you can. See, I just did it right there. See that little green? And that was from just the wire, as it's unraveling, just twisted across the bark. Now, will you ever actually see that? I mean, do you even see it? But here we go. There it is. That little tiny bit right there. God, where are we? Right there. Was from taking the wire off. No big deal. You'll never see it. But it can't happen. So now, we've got to take an inventory. In a perfect world, I would have loved for this branch to still be alive, but it is not. So we're taking it off there. I still want a branch coming out that way, so you see there's this little tiny growth right here. And so I'm taking this whole branch back to there, so to get directional growth for that to come up into there. The back branch is the same way. Actually, this branch here that you see is coming from over here. So I'm taking that away. Oh, where's my concave cutters? And Got some dead here, some dead here. But this part is alive, so I'm going to cut it to there. And then shorten all this stuff. And you notice we've got sprouting all up and down, so it's going to re-sprout. I may need... I've still got wire. I don't know why I haven't taken that off. I may need to regrow an apex, but there are many, many times when I purposely remove the existing apex to regrow a new apex. So the fact that this apex has died is not that big of a deal either. I don't like how heavy this is right here. So it's coming off completely like that, because we have this guy that can take its place. And then I'm really not sure, let's do the scratch test. If a branch is alive, it shows green underneath the bark. How about right here? I think, oh, we got some green right there. So this is dead here, and it's also dead to about there. But I should be able to get some new growth out of here. Not sure if I want to, because this is just so heavy up here. So I think I'm going to take it even further down. So yes, chopped it back to almost nothing. And I have not chosen a pot for this guy, so I need to go do that and bring them back. So I'll be back. Don't you just love it? After I pause it, the whole thing has changed. I zoomed it in a little bit. Now if we look this way, leaning way too far forward, and that was probably why I had that big wire. I wanted to bring it up. But I think I'm just going to plant it more like that versus attempting to wire it. And I've got 3 new pots, and funnily enough, let's get this guy out of here. Oh, that was easy. Just popped right out. See, healthy roots, certainly nowhere near dead, just needs to be rehabbed. I brought 2 pots that I had yesterday. The scalloped one and the round and the oval one. And so once again, we're going to put it like that. See, that's a little shallow, especially if I want to do what I want to do with bringing the tree up like this. You know, I'm going to really need to chop a whole bunch of roots off of here to get it into this guy. And the same with the scalloped one. Pretty shallow. However, I've got this red guy, which I guess you could also call a scallop pot. Got some very, very old screen, which I think will still work actually. But however, if we do like that, there will be a lot less roots that I need to take off the back end to bring the tree up the way I want it. So this is the one I'm going to use. And of course you have to imagine now, branch here, some back branch, nice apex, and it will happen. The poor things just, I mean, I have to admit that I just have so many trees that, especially before I started this channel, there's a lot of times where they just sort of sit there and I don't do much of anything with them. And they're just, that's, you know, I have to admit, guilty as charged. But I have found that since I've had the channel, I've been much more conscientious. So thank you for the people that watch. You know, it's like, okay, so now I've got someone that actually, you know, is looking to see this stuff. And there's dripping water because I had it actually soaking in water because it was really suffering. So, and as is the case, there's probably some screen which I just chopped right in half. And no biggie, I can use little chunks of it for some mame But yeah, I chopped it right in half. No biggie. Okay, get rid of that old root ball. Over there. Oh, you know, I may not need to even do any more than that. Of course, I do want to cut around the edges to keep it from looking like it went from one pot to another. And, you know, I did a video on dumb looking bonsai because I had two that I had done that to, and it's just about the most unnatural thing you can do. Okay. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. And we're going to set it up like that. So, get my trusty scoop. Oh yeah, I like that so much. So now it's still leaning forward because you want your trees to lean forward a little bit, but it was like that. So we could even probably get it a little bit more upright. There, that looks good. Because I can always send the apex more forward. And this will expose these roots here that are already exposed, and they're not perfect Nabari, that's for sure, but there's always the next phase. Okay, there we go. I like that. I like the pot. And of course I'm imagining nice full tree. And it will come. Even in a few months. The little tiny growth that I've saved here, that little tiny guy, and the non-existent little tiny guys that are in here that are going to pop because they have adventitious buds. And we have our back branch that also has a couple of little tiny pieces of green. So the tree is still alive. Kind of like that commercial. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I'm not a dead bonsai, but I just look like one. Okay. That's number one. And I think it's going to be a very nice tree. And because it's so wet, it will still get some water. Okay, here's the next guy. And he's the same way. I really want... Let me move over to the other side. And like I said, every single little elongated branch has brand new growth that's emerging right at the very tip, which means the entire branch is still all alive. So I'm going to cut this guy back to there. Cut this guy. This may be dead, which is unfortunate, but we'll have to see just what happens. Okay, I don't like this up here. I don't know, let's see. What do we got? Of course, I'm trying to assume that this is alive. I don't know if it is. It could probably come off. We could just have branch, wire, and apex up like that. Oh, that doesn't look that bad. Okay, so for now, we're just going to get it into a new pot. And now, am I going to be lazy and just choose the blue pot without going and getting any more? That's a possibility. So here's the old blue pot that the last guy was in. So is that going to work? I think it will. I don't want to go find two more pots. Actually, I have a couple more pots, but like here. Now this is a perfect example of how, you know, when you do eyeball your pots. So like this guy here is just way too big for this guy. Now it may once this tree fills in and gets a nice canopy, it might just be perfect. But for now, I don't want to put it in a pot that large. I think this one is much better. And I need a piece of screen, which is just good old, plain old window screen. And I've got an old piece from the last pot I used. And this tree was also soaking in water, but look at all those white roots just from soaking in water, all the white roots. And now that it's going to get some actual soil, and I do believe we have a window screen right here. See it in there? Okay, sorry guy. All of these roots, and they were all exposed, they're all going to go down. I'm going to put it way down like that. In fact, I think I'm just going to leave it right like that. And then just fill the soil up around those roots. I don't want the roots really exposed. Over time, I could bring them up, but for now, I'm going to give the tree a chance to recover. And there's a lot of airspace in between these roots, so I'm going to give it a little chopstick action. And if you're looking at these things going, man, they just look so pitiful, please, if you haven't already, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. In a couple more months, these guys will have transformed to look so much more healthy and be on their way to being nice little shohin trees. So, you know, sometimes I kick myself for not taking care of everything I've got, but I've got a lazy streak, there's no doubt about that. And once again, I really want to thank the people that watch this channel, because you've really inspired me to be a lot less lazy. Okay, so aftercare for these guys. And let's get the tray out of the way. As you can see, we have now hit full sun on my workstation. So this is the third video I've done today. I started at the crack of dawn, but things take time. So there we go. A couple of trees that really were neglected that now are going to end up, as they resprout, I will be giving them much more care, be focused on creating the image that we want in a bonsai. And oh, I forgot about the aftercare. They're going to get watered immediately, even though they were soaking in water, and then put in some, not deep shade, but I'm going to give them some shade. They're not going to go straight out in full sun. Premna is a full sun tree that can take a tremendous amount of full sun, but these guys, because, especially this one, because the root ball was so, well, growing in midair, but it did have those white roots. So definitely they need a little bit of shade. And then once I see some emergence, then give them a touch of fertilizer. I don't like to over fertilize, especially trees like this that were struggling. And then once they begin to really fill in and flush out, then I can give them just a decent fertilization to get them on their way. So there we go. And if you want to see the transformation of these guys, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And oh, and now the wind is picking up. And I hate videos where the wind has destroyed the audio quality. So this will be the last video for me today. to Premna, rehabilitated, and on their way to being some very nice shohin trees. So thank you so much for watching Woodcrest Bonsai.